So good morning and welcome to NNTV. We are in the Charles Beyond Press Hall where the Ministry of Information is hosting its regular press briefing. And today's press briefing will be addressed by Honorable Piah, the Minister of Information, and also Florence Geebae, Managing Director, National Housing Authority, and also Robert Haynes. He's the Director of Press at the House of Representatives. So I'm the Fofana and keep following ELBC.
And there's also properly managing government communication in the Republic of Nigeria. We want to welcome all of you to this edition of the government regular press briefing hosted by the Ministry of Information. It's a pleasure to always be here. Let me say good afternoon to members of the senior management team. Initially we were expecting to have the Ministry of Gender. The Minister of Gender should have been here, but because of some unforeseen issues, or the parent have been referred to next Tuesday. The National Housing Authority, of course, is also expected here, and we announced or consider she's Honorable Florence Geebae, Managing Director, National Housing Authority. And we also have the Director of Press and the House of Representatives of the National Legislature. Why is he here? The President, His Excellency Joseph Makwaka, will deliver his third State of the Nation address to the 55th Legislature on Monday, which will be the fourth working Monday in January, as per constitutional requirement. So that function is a function of the legislature. So the Director of Press of the House of Representatives is here. He will drill us through the protocols and tell the nation how prepared the first branch of government is to host the President as he delivers his third State of the Nation address to the third session of the 55th legislature. Before we entertain the speakers, the National Housing Authority boss, who is en route, and the Director of Press of the House of Representatives, Minister Jeremiah Piah, will speak to a number of issues, and then will be followed by the National Housing Authority boss, and then the Director of Press of the House of Representatives will speak, and then we'll take some questions from you. So we are already 21 minutes into our time, so let me now encourage you to please turn all of your gadgets on silent as I invite Minister Jeremiah Piah to the microphone.
So up next will be the Minister of Information, Honorable Jeremiah Piah, to address the press.
Good afternoon. Quickly, we have to say a few things to you before our invited guest to speak. The Housing Authority's boss will soon be here. Our developmental initiatives are taking place. If you move around, like we said the other day, road works are ongoing. Expansion of electricity, many other kinds of developmental interventions are taking place, creating schools, rehabilitating existing hospitals, improving the physical outlook of our airport, taking water to the people, equipping schools for students to be able to learn well. I was very surprised because I used to be an instructor at a Samaritan Catholic school in Dubai. But since I moved on the Cultural Island during the war years, including the years I taught, we've never had an appreciation as to how the fence that protects the Samaritan Catholic school looks. Because it's always been blocked by different makeshift structures. And the only thing you will see on that building is a gate that one uses to enter the school campus. Due to our expansive road works and the clearance of all of those structures from the road, at least for the first time they were able to write on their fence in bold letters, Samaritan High School. And I was asking myself, why did it take the entire period of the war up to the time we restored peace? It took all this time to just be able to expose the fence that protects the school. And then I got reminded that all you need in leadership is what is called political will. And that political will is being exercised in most of the things we do. So in addition to everything you're doing all around the capital, we're pleased that they've also started actual work on the road that leads from Medina to Rapos, capital of Grand Cape County. And those of you who are citizens of Grand Cape County, and those of us who take interest in going there, the rehabilitation of that road and this transformation into an asphalt paved road has also commenced. Liberia participated in the World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos between the 19th and the 23rd of January, marking a major milestone in the country's global re-engagement. And I've heard many media institutions reporting that it was the country's first time participating in the World Economic Forum. That information is not true. I was a part of the Liberian delegation under President Salif at the World Economic Forum during the period of the second term, because at the time I became press secretary. So Liberia has been there before. And what we see happening is just a continuation of our international engagement. Liberia's participation is a result, after that break when President Salif represented the country, of over 6 months of sustained targeted outreach at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs throughout the second half of 2025, engaging directly with the World Economic Forum and strategic partners to ensure meaningful platforms for Liberia, to position Liberia as a regular participant going forward. While there was a high-level roundtable discussion that was convened by Liberia. So quoted at the Financial Times, the Foreign Policy magazine, and their partners, bringing together global investors, development, finance institutions, and multinational executives. Liberia's participation was achieved at no cost to the government for the event or for the program. All official engagements, roundtables, and platforms were made possible through strategic partnerships with international media and convening partners. The only cost to the government was the travel expense of officials, making this a high impact and low cost participation. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of Finance and Development Planning also held a fireside chat organized by Africa House at Davos, where they discussed the country's readiness to do business and the vast investment potential in key sectors. The delegation, headed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Her Excellency Sarah Besco Nyati, alongside Finance Minister Justin Piah, and NRC Chairman Jeff Beagle, reflecting a whole of government economic diplomacy approach anchored by the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Liberia's central message at Davos is that economic diplomacy is essential to peace, to stability, and long-term security and investment, jobs, and inclusive growth as critical complements to diplomacy and peacekeeping. The closed-door format was designed to move beyond speeches and focus on alignment between public and private capital, national priorities, and global responsibilities, growth, and peace. Key opportunities highlighted include energy, transport and logistics, agriculture and agro-processing, digital infrastructure, mining and tourism. The Minister of Finance highlighted declining inflation, improved revenue performance, strengthened governance and anti-corruption frameworks, the IMF and MCC validations, and progress on digitization and payment reform. The Foreign Minister talked about Liberia's assumption of a seat on the UN Security Council, which reinforces its credibility as a stable democracy and responsible global actor, strengthening investors' confidence in international trust. Liberia is repositioning itself from aid dependence to partnership, seeking long-term, accountable, and mutually beneficial economic relationships that deliver both development impact and commercial returns. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs views Davos 2026 as a strategic entry point, not a one-off event, with a clear objective to deepen Liberia's role at future World Economic Forum meetings, including expanded participation and potential national pavilion in 2027. The President has announced a strategic expansion of the Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission, the RRC, to better respond to emerging national, regional, and global migration dynamics in support of Liberia's territorial integrity and national security framework. The President's action reflects a forward-looking effort to align the mandate of the RRC with the increasing complexity of cross-border movements, refugee management, with trainee integration and broader migration trends affecting the Mano River Union and the West African sub-region. In furtherance of this expanded mandate, he appointed former Youth and Sports Minister, Councillor Gerald Kobangalo, as the Executive Director of the NHA. The position of Executive Director has also been elevated to a cabinet level position, as is the case with the GSA, the CSA, and the National Investment Commission. And this makes Councillor Ko still a member of the cabinet, because the position he's been appointed to is being elevated as a cabinet level position. Councillor Ko's appointment is intended to strengthen operational leadership, enhance interagency coordination, and ensure the effective execution of the Commission's broader responsibilities. The President notes that Liberia stands at a pivotal moment, shaped by rising regional migration pressures and the growing challenge of managing porous borders in a changing global environment. These realities, the President emphasized, require an institutional response that goes beyond traditional humanitarian coordination and contributes meaningfully to national preparedness, security planning, and migration management. Accordingly, the NHA is being repositioned to play a more strategic role, including coordination on cross-border movements, engagement with relevant international and regional protocols, and contribution to Liberia's overall national security and migration management architecture. The President expressed appreciation to Councillor Ko for his dedicated services to the youth of Liberia, and affirms full confidence that his legal acumen, administrative discipline, and public service experience will guide NHA effectively into a new phase of national responsibility. And as you may already be aware, the President, as he moved Councillor Ko to the NHA, has named Anthony Colinio Kra as the new Minister of Youth and Sports. Some updates from the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education has begun structured stakeholders engagement to ensure the successful nationwide rollout of its new digital learning platform. The mutual session with teachers and parents and educational group focus on how the platform will deliver lessons via digital radio and TV, how it supports literacy and numeracy, and how communities can support its use, especially in low connectivity areas. 2, the distribution of science kits. The ministry has started distributing science kits to elementary schools in Montserrat County to strengthen hands-on science education and stimulate early interest in STEM. The kits are designed to improve classroom instruction and develop critical thinking skills. This effort is a part of a broader commitment of the government to provide equitable access to quality learning resources across all counties. 3, the induction of county education officers and the National County Education Council. In a significant move to strengthen local leadership and accountability, the ministry inducted a new cohort of county education officers and inaugurated Liberia's first National CEO Council in Lofa. The officers are tasked with supervision, school performance, teacher support, and learning protection. The newly formed council will enhance collaboration and result-focused leadership to ensure education reform translates into tangible improvement in the schools nationwide. According to the ministry, these initiatives highlight a multifaceted approach to education reform in Liberia, focusing on digital learning assets, practical science resources, and strengthened local governance, all aimed at improving learning outcomes for children across the country. The Ministry of National Defense has issued a final doing this voluntary of Liberia Engineering Battalion will engage in erecting physical barricades aimed at demarcating its property. Hence, the public, and especially those squatting within and around the barracks, are asked to remain calm, cooperate fully, and proceed along clearly marked exit routes with highest assurance that their personal belongings will not be confiscated during the evacuation, and that no action will be taken against those who comply promptly and peacefully. Since the Liberian Civil War, Camp Rayburn has been occupied illegally, in every effort to recover the property over the years have not been successful. The continued illegal occupation of the barracks has constrained the AFL's ability to rehabilitate the facility and has undermined efforts to expand the accommodation for newly recruited personnel in operational units of the Armed Forces of Liberia. Since early 2024, the Ministry of National Defense has held multiple engagements with the leadership of the occupants and formally communicated the requirement for voluntary evacuation to the occupants. In addition, a written 4-month notice to evacuate the premises was issued in May of 2025 to allow for orderly relocation. To dispatch these engagements and ample notice, the occupants remained within the barracks. It is worth emphasizing that out of 37 acres of land being illegally occupied, the AFL has only 13 acres which has been earmarked for renovation. The Camp Rayburn Military Barrack, also referenced or referred to as the 72nd Barrack, is strategic to Liberian national security in providing rapid response to quiet down any uprising or chaos that will require the deployment of the armed forces of Liberia on the northwestern flank of Monrovia. The Liberia Electricity Corporation informs the public that the recent abrupt power disruptions experienced in parts of the country are not due to inadequate electricity supply, nor has LEC reached any critical stage of load shedding. The interruptions experienced over the last few days, including today, resulted from abrupt trips on the Côte d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, CLSG transmission line, which serves as the regional interconnected electricity backbone linking the 4 countries. When such trips occur on the CLSG network, they generate system feedback into local substations to protect critical equipment and prevent expensive damage. The LEC automated protection system is designed to immediately shut down affected components. LEC assures the public that this protective response is a standard and necessary safety mechanism to safeguard infrastructure and ensure system reliability. Following the incident, the LEC technical teams promptly intervened and power is being successfully restored to the affected areas. Normal operations have since resumed. The Liberia Electricity Corporation sincerely apologizes for any inconvenience this temporary disruption may have caused and reassures the public of its continued commitment to the reliable provision of electricity across the country. The LEC remains steadfast in strengthening its systems and collaborating with regional partners to ensure great stability. The government of Liberia extends deep condolences to former Vice President Joel Howard Taylor on the passing of her son, Charles Philip Taylor. To further concretize our state of condolence, President Waka on yesterday paid a condolence visit to the former Vice President at her Punkutown residence. Charles, the son of former President Taylor, passed on January 20th, 2026 at the JFK Memorial Hospital. During the visit, President Waka, on behalf of the government and people of Liberia, expressed his sympathy and described the death of Philip as a painful loss to the family. He emphasized the importance of empathy and national solidarity in moments of personal grief. Philip was a biological son of former President Taylor and former Vice President Joel Howard Taylor. He held a master's degree in shipping and port administration from the Regional Maritime University in Accra, Ghana. I don't know what I should talk, the other talking point. I'm going to leave you with the hot spokesman who's here. I'm going to say the talking point to the hot passes, Ashwa Metate, Amen. Can you talk about it?
Yeah, but you can emphasize the official spokesperson.
All right, so before I talk about that, the police is really concerned about safety. And for those of us who drive through the streets of Monrovia, we see how reckless many drivers are. Whether you're driving an actual motor vehicle or a keke, as you're calling it, or pen, the recklessness is alarming. The police provided some updates for 2025, and they put the number of accidents during 2025 to 1,564, and deaths resulting from those accidents were around 236 persons. Bill, since I guess most of them indicated motorcyclists, constituting 206 of the deaths, and female 30. In addition, there have been 992 injuries. So we'd like to encourage our people, drivers, keke riders, pen riders, to take a little bit care. Because sometimes what the recklessness leads to does not just affect you. Innocent passerbys are sometimes hit and wounded severely. Some are killed. Most recently, we've been having situations, especially during that hours of hit and run, which is an act of evil. If you are a human being with 5 senses, it should be unthinkable. And you hit another human being and you even know whether the person is still alive or struggling, and you just run away. That level of evil should not be amongst us as Liberians. The police is, however, taking some actions to reduce, since they can completely curtail the rising wave of accidents, and to ensure that those who continue to violate traffic rules, acting recklessly and endangering others, are cross-checked and punished where they are found and arrested. So the plenary of the House of Representatives has voted to pass third amendment of the ArcelorMittal-Liberia Mineral Development Agreement, describing the decision as being in the best interest of the Liberian people. The passage followed a representation of a comprehensive report by the Joint Committee on Investment and Concessions, on Lands and Mines, on Energy, Natural Resources and the Environment, and the Judiciary, which was delivered by Chairman for the family on January 20, 2026 during the test sitting. Pursuant to the plenary's mandate, the Joint Committee conducted public hearing on the third amendment on Monday, the 19th, 2026 at the Capitol building. The hearing examined the substance of the proposed amendment, its national value, and its alignment with Liberia's economic, social, and strategic interests. The hearing was attended by members of the Inter-Ministerial Concession Committee, including senior officials from the Ministry of Mines and Energy, the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, the National Investment Commission, the Ministry of Labor. Each institution presented detailed explanation of its role in negotiating the third amendment and outlined anticipated benefits to the Republic of Liberia. There are some key findings, and we can run over some of them. After more than 4 hours of deliberation, including executive session discussion, the Joint Committee concluded that 1, the third amendment represents a significant improvement over the existing MDA, particularly in government revenue, infrastructure ownership, employment, Liberian participation, and regulatory clarity. That the amendment aids the outcome of prolonged negotiations that began in 2020 following the legislature's rejection of the 2021 version in March of 2022. That the agreement reaffirms government of Liberia's ownership of the rail and port infrastructure and introduces rail system operating principles to transition the rail corridor to a multi-user system. That stronger enforcement mechanisms are introduced to address long-standing public concerns. That the amendment enhances Liberia's economic and strategic positioning while balancing investment returns with national interest. Amongst the key benefits adopted by the Joint Committee are immediate and recurring revenues, including 200 million signature bonus, a 5 million annual community development fund, increased mining license fee, and improved royalty payments. 2, employment and Liberianization, ensuring increased Liberian participation at management and professional levels. And that education and skill development, including scholarships and vocational training centers, as well as annual training contributions, will be made by ArcelorMittal. And finally, on tomorrow at 3:30 in the afternoon here in the Charles William Press Hall. The ceremonies that would mark the transfer of employees of the former Department of Culture and Tourism here at the Ministry to the Liberia National Tourism Authority will be held. The ceremony will represent an important milestone in the government of Liberia ongoing institutional reform and realignment process aimed at strengthening efficiency, clarity of mandate, and professionalism within the public service. As part of that program, the Civil Service Agency will formally present the personnel and credential verification report for both the Liberia National Tourism Authority and the Ministry of Information. The reports are intended to appropriately situate and regularize the affected employees within their respective institutions in the aftermath of the transition process consistent with established civil service laws, regulations, and best practice. The media, I guess, is invited to that ceremony. With this said, I'd like to invite the Managing Director of the National Housing Authority, Madam Florence Geebae, for our presentation.
So that was the Minister of Information, Jeremy Piah, and now is the Managing Director of Madam Florence Geebae taking the pulpit for her remarks.
We build some an existing protocol and declare all protocol observed. I'm Florence Geebae, Managing Director of the National Housing Authority. I want to welcome the fourth estate, the media here. Thank you for the good job you've been doing over the years. Issues of housing development in the Republic of Liberia, and I will give you first of all an overview of our housing sector in this republic. Liberia's housing sector faces a very serious affordability problem. We have close to almost 512 Liberians, or 512 housing units that are needed for Liberians to be housed properly. I mean, real housing. I'm not talking about zinc shacks and homes that do not have the proper roofing. So we have a little bit of problem in our housing development sector. We don't have the adequate financing to build more homes for Liberians as is required. We have poverty making decent housing unattainable for most of our citizens. Our urban areas like Monrovia, as we all know, are experiencing overcrowdedness. Too many persons in a little space, and we need to solve that problem. As a result, we have a huge slum situation. Also, we have the rural-urban migration that has also affected our housing sector. The lack of funding and comprehensive policies also remain a significant hindrance to our housing development process. We do not have mortgage banks. We do not have financing and refinancing institutions that are needed for housing development in any developing country, even in developing countries. You go to the United States, they have mortgage programs, they have financing and refinancing schemes, which we don't have, but we're trying to introduce those into our economy. We also have a serious issue of land availability. Our land bank at the National Housing Authority, we met that situation completely depleted. We don't have any public land that we can say to our public-private partners that, look, Liberia has land, come and develop those lands and give us homes for our population. So our land bank is completely depleted. Now, for the housing needs, as I mentioned earlier, but not in details, we have 200,000 new dwelling units needed to reduce the current crowding. I spoke about the crowdedness. So we need 200 housing units as per studies to ensure that the current crowdedness in Monrovia and other suburbs are prevented or reduced. We need 163,35 housing units to keep up with our population growth. Everybody knows our homes are growing. There is a 4.4% of household growth in our republic per annum. We need 4,891 housing units to replace the old and damaged housing units, which is at 3% per annum. Our homes are being damaged, they are old, erosion taking place, and we have overfloodedness, flooding taking place. The homes are being damaged, we need to replace them. And it is our responsibility as the National Housing Authority to initiate programs that will bring about these replacements. 70% of the population lives in slum on a very deteriorating conditions. 70% of our population live in slum. And it is a seriously devastating housing situation, and we need to resolve that. A total of 512 urban dwellings are needed by 2030. 512. Can we help with that? We try to strategize to help with that. By 2030, we need 512,000 dwellings for our population. Now let's look at the National Housing Authority. The National Housing Authority was established on April 15, 1960. What is the mandate? The mandate is to do what? Initiate, plan, develop, and regulate housing development programs in the Republic. But because of some lack of political will of enhancing strategy, which we are trying to put together and enhance our policy, I see people around here just building houses anyway and anyhow. We are not regulating because we do not have the regulatory power, which we have developed. We have formulated a bill with it's now with the Law Reform Commission, and upon the stakeholders meeting everything, and that bill is enacted into law, we start regulating. People will not just charge anybody any rent at anywhere and anyhow, or just build any structure in the alleys. The zoning law will be effective also when this bill is enacted into law. So, the National Housing Authority also is responsible to provide affordable, adequate, safe housing for all Liberians. The houses are to be affordable, they are to be adequate, and they are to be safe. That is our responsibility. And we pray that our bill be passed into law so that we can be empowered to effect these responsibilities. And our focus is not only on the urban setting, we are also responsible for rural housing, which we'll be talking about later because we have a special program that is looking onto that. And we need to give a little briefing on how did we meet the National Housing Authority and how is the National Housing Authority now. When I was given the assignment to take over the National Housing Authority, my first visit, I got shocked. I went back to the manager. I said, I'm going there. Okay, it was, I saw a dilapidated building. Infrastructure was so dilapidated. The office that is my office right now, and I feel comfortable in it. I couldn't even enter in the middle part of the office. It was dilapidated, and I could see that the staff were not happy. The working environment was not suitable for working. But by the grace of God, we were able to take bold steps, and we hired a contractor pre-finance and still paying the debt. And he was able to help us to get a conducive working environment. So right now, if you go to the National Housing Authority, everything is 100%. But at least we have a working environment that is conducive for us to be productive and do the work that the Liberian people expect us to do. That is upon inception. Now, what are we doing? I've just talked a little bit about my working environment. Now let's look at our prospects. When we took over, there wasn't any strategic plan, no operational plan. The various policies and regulatory instruments that we needed to do our work were not available. By the grace of God, we were able to work with our team, and we have a 5-year strategic housing sector policy and regulatory environment, which is a strategic plan. So we have a 5-year strategic plan right now. And the strategic plan focuses on access to land. I'm talking about the land. That's the first thing in the housing development sector. You must have the land. Even if you're doing government programs, you must have the land. If you're doing the public-private partnership, wherein you have international institutions or even a local contractor that can finance a housing development program, the government is responsible to provide the land, clear the land, and prepare the land. Do the site plan. You're supposed to have the design, everything for the partner to come and construct on the land. We do not have a land, so we have a strategic plan from which, we developed a national proposal that was directed by the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. We worked over a month and a half and were able to design that proposal for us to be able to get land. So that proposal is still before the Ministry of Finance. We are awaiting funding for that. In the strategic plan, we are to improve access to housing finance. That's our strategic plan. Improve access to housing finance, which should be effected by the government of the Republic of Liberia. We also have from our strategic plan that we do sites and services. According to our mandate, we are also to provide land, real estate land, where we buy the land, we plan the site, we do the design, and every Liberian will not be able to buy the house. So you come and buy your plots of land, and the size of the plots of land is 2,500 square footage each. And within that, you can come and buy a late plot. We give you the design, and you build the house according to our design. You don't go outside of our plan. So we guide you, build your house, but at your pace. Not at the pace where you will go and do mortgage to get a house, and the mortgage is just 8 years. We've been struggling with that. Most of the commercial banks, even our LVDI, which is our own bank, their mortgage are brought it down to 8 years, and most Liberians cannot afford that. So in conversation with the presidency, can you people do a land that people can come and buy and take time and build their houses? So we have the site and services program also, which will be coming up soon. In our proposal, we have 500 acres of land that the government is supposed to fund us to buy in. I think we have our pilot counties should be like 5 counties. 500 acres of land in 5 counties. But we're still trying to look at it because it's becoming a competing issue now. A competing development issue. Like there's another program I'm going to tell you about, the special presidential project. When I announced it in the infrastructure conference, Superintendent Nena will start fighting me. But there's a pilot. So some kind of county got to take the pilot. So we have 6 counties that we're doing the pilot of 600 housing units, but everybody wanted, we can't go to 15 counties right now. we have only funding, and we have a partner that is willing to pre-finance that and will pay in our subsequent budgetary allocations. So for the siting services, let's come back there. So we have 5 counties that want to do the siting services. If the funding is available, we have made our proposal to the governor of the Republic of Liberia. The funding available, we start the work right away. You see us moving. Then we have slum upgrading as a part of our program. We're upgrading our slum. So for the slum upgrading, we also have a partner institution, the United Nations Development Fund, that we are working together. We have done site visitation of the various slums, 5 slum areas in Monserrate. We've gone there and we're trying to put a program together for this fiscal year to see how we can help improve the livelihood of our people in the slums, either with the drainage, the toilet, and we're still having that conversation. But soon or later, you will soon see us. Now, for our current project, we have the off-takers enrollment. Who are the off-takers? I just saw Brother Josiah and Jake. He and I, we own this off-taker thing.
Yes.
Okay, we initiated it.
We gotta solve it.
It gotta happen.
Yeah, it has to happen.
We initiated it. We initiated the off-takers program. We had the first meeting with him and his team, and from that meeting, we saw the need for other government ministry agencies and commissions to be part of it, the requisite stakeholders. So we're able to get 11 more ministries, agencies, and commissions to join us. From those consultative meetings, we designed a framework. From that framework, we have a bill now for the National Housing Trust Fund.
Yes.
That will give access to Liberians. Initially, we said civil servant, but the need to open it to other Liberians keep coming up, so we're looking at it. So the National Housing Trust Fund is going to serve the off-takers. Why did we even have to think about off-takers? The off-takers, internationally, in all countries, there is an off-taker program, a scheme. Because when the investors come, they need to know whether you have ready, willing, and available Liberians that will buy their homes. So from the off-takers enrollment, we did 1 or 2 assessments and were able to get 1,500 Liberians that enrolled into our first off-taker for the community. I sent my folks in the communities, in the offices, in stores, and we're able to get 1,500 Liberians, and they keep calling me. I told people, you don't get my number. Mistakenly, some people got my number, and they needed to know whether I was already building homes. That's how anxious Liberians need homes. So we need to get our stakeholders, our government, to give us money so Liberians can get their homes. So for the off-takers, the PPP, the public-private partners, they need to see a balance sheet of Liberians that are available, that are willing, that are capable to buy the homes. So that's why we are doing this enrollment with the ministry agencies and commissions. And as we stand, we have written how many people? How many offices?
105.
105 ministry agencies and commissions have received our letters and our forms. And we are having consultative meetings with them. We'll be having mass personnel meetings with the institutions. In fact, when I shared with my brother, the resident rep of the United Nations Development Fund, he assigned his HR with me. So UNDP is part of this scheme also. They are joining us. They are so excited. Okay? And when we're done with the MSCs, we're going into the private sector, we're going to stores, we're going to companies, we're going to corporations to enroll their personnel. We will also commence and looking for lend money to start talking on the radio. Bruce. So my brother and I get overflowing budget. They will help me with a cruise. I will bring my media plan. I'm putting a communication strategy together. I will share it around so people can hear more about what we are doing at the National Housing Authority. Okay, so that's it. Off-takers now. I briefed you earlier on the 600 housing unit. So there is we did this big proposal. There is a budget presentation we did for this huge proposal for affordable housing. And then we didn't get money. When we didn't get the money, I was able to do consultation with the presidency. And the presidency said, can we get a partner that can pre-finance? So we get in the Larix International Construction Company to pre-finance the construction. Initially we said 200, but we are taking it to 600. And they have in principle agreed for the construction of the 600 housing units in the 6 counties. We've started visitation of counties, wherein with also the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health needs housing for their staff in the counties. So those ones that got land, I told them, give me the deed, I go see the land, prepare the land for the construction. So we have started visitation. We got some small land in Bassa, in Bomi, that one we got land for it. So the other counties on the study, the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health are going, if they get deeds for them, they give it to me. But education already, we've done assessment, we did it, we took EPA there, we did an environmental impact assessment person there, we took a structural engineer and a staff in land acquisition. They were there last week. And I was in Nimba and Bong to see how we can acquire land. I'm in conversation with the 2 superintendents. I should be back there by this weekend, hopefully, if my health improves. We'll be going to Buchanan will be sending a team there because that's an old land already there. We got some kind of estate, we finished building, we're reclaiming some of the land. That's a new project we are doing. Now, it's very important when you're doing anything, you need to know what is the economic impact of what I'm doing. Because our whole life is about the socio-economic. So I get build homes and I do not tell the government, look, if I build home, I'm running behind you, Mr. Government, Mr. Finance and Development Planning. This is going to be the economic impact to our country. So, for the 600 housing units, this is going to be the economic impact. The housing condition from 600 housing units, the housing condition of 2,640 people will improve. Amen? And how do we calculate it? Liberal has a 4.4 household average. 4.4% of people in the house. And adjust the scientific analysis, but some are more than that, right? Then we also will have 3,000 indirect jobs will be created at the construction site. Those 6 sites, 3,000 indirect jobs will be created. How will they be created? The people that are selling the land, the people that are preparing the land, we'll get local laborers to prepare the land. We have people transporting our goods, the building materials. We have food sellers. Okay? So we have that. We have 3,000 librarians that will be working. We have skilled and unskilled laborers. Then we'll also improve access to housing and other infrastructure in the Republic of Liberia. Because when we build the estates in your locale, we're going to provide access roads. In the nearby, we'll do the internal roads. We'll provide water system. We'll provide electricity. We'll do sanitation. Okay? So access to that whole facility, that neighborhood will improve. That place that never had road before, we make sure there is a road there. That's the responsibility of the government of Liberia. Now, who are our partners? And what are the challenges that we face, even though we have people coming from us and say, I won't be able to here. We have Sionjini, which is scheduled for technical and financial presentation to the board. For you to reach to that level, you must have signed an MOU with us, you must have registered in the Republic of Liberia. Your company is supposed to register here. So these people that I have here, the one that I just now trying to do plenty talking, they're not on my list. But those that have come, signed MOU with us, they have registered in Liberia, in our business environment. These are the people I'm talking about. So we have these people, we have Sionjeni, no lane, I thought of the lane bank. We have Lares who is doing Lares that is doing the 600 housing unit. They have presented their technical proposal. We are awaiting their financial proposal. We have some lane, we don't have all the lane. Design Pro has presented his complete proposal. Right now, we are awaiting the lane issue. Because the lane we gave him France, the bank we gave him Bentor, the bank he's supposed to be partnering with. As I said, we are trying to make partnership with some commercial bank, Eco Bank to be specific. They are dictating, because they'll be buying their houses when you build it. They will buy it from the investor. When you finish building a home, then they and us implement the mortgage program that we're going to sign, the agreement. So they're detecting that there's a Bentor farm, but I will build Bentor. The other two persons are fighting over Bentor right now. Okay, we are waiting the clearing. So Design Pro, because of that issue, there is no line for them anymore. Renovis is processing their technical and financial proposal, MOU done, registration done, and we got land for them in Bombing. McAlby is choice about the land. Everybody wants land on the highway. He has done MOU, he has done technical proposal, he's registered into our law. He's choice on the land, so we can get land on the highway for him now. Nexta is preparing technical and financial proposal. We have land issue with Nexta. DG and Agro, because Design Pro doesn't want to land, so we put somebody that is available. DG and Agro, they just left this morning back. They were here visiting us. They saw Bentor land that one other person rejected. They use to building in rural areas, so they are excited about Bentor land. So we'll be getting them. We need direct government of Liberia investment. We've done the AAID proposal. It needs to be approved so we can start buying some land and start preparing the land for all of our programs for civil servants housing projects to be completed. So that our civil servants that are crying, because you see, when the investors come, they are business people, they want to make profit. They may not do affordable homes that we as a government can do. So we as a government, we need to invest into our program. The National Housing Trust Fund needs to be, the stakeholders consultation need to be funded so that we can forward it to the legislature for passing into law. We need that right away, because those are the variables that the investor want to see. A scheme, you will not believe it, corporations, you have the agricultural corporations. Corporations can also provide mortgage program for their partners, their members. So we need to work on that. I started 1 or 2 conversations with some of them, and we're going to see that it is improved, because some of them also need some government support, which we want to look into. We also need to, we started establishing bilateral relationship with partner countries for them to come and help us with knowledge transfer. For that also, we have the Shelter Africa Development Bank. We've gone to the place where we have signed an endorsement letter, also get 150,000 from Piah to give it to us. We're like 4 countries that they just approved. So that letter has gone in as soon as possible time. Shelter Africa will be coming over to do a diagnostic research and analysis of Liberia's housing sector, not just those that are in national housing. So many people will be seeing them coming around. So that letter has gone, that money has been assured to us as a country. The Minister of Finance and Development Planning signed that letter sometime in December. So we'll be getting that program coming. And when they come, you know, these development partners, they know the kind of structure when in a senior country, those financiers can have confidence in your country to come and help you. So I'm so excited that we finally got this money for the team to come and help us with our programs. Also, there is a communication now, a proposal that my regional person in Nigeria, I just have a conversation. I sent her 2 proposals. She wants us to decide on one, and I'm deciding on the mixed housing. Well, they will be funding 250 housing units for this country. They will be transferring the funding here. So we're doing all of the details for that proposal for it to be submitted before the end of next week, because everything is set for us to go. We're talking about this for the past year. Now the funding is available. As I said, we are also negotiating with our local commercial banks for the refinancing. The investor finances the construction. You have a refinancing institution that will buy the housing from the investor, and then housing and the bank do the mortgage together and ensure that those homes are being bought. Thank you very much for your listening here.
Thank you, madam.
So we just listened to the Executive Director of National Housing Authority, this is Haynes, or the Director of Press at the House of Representatives. So if you're just joining, I would like to say welcome to this live broadcast. My name is Sincerely On. I'm coming to you live at the Ministry of Information. Keep following.
I'm elated to be here this afternoon. Members of the media, Happy New Year to all of you. So we come to quickly review on activities leading to the President's 10th annual message to the people of Liberia, by and through the deputies of the people. I bring you greetings from the Speaker, the Right Honorable Richard Nangbekoon, the Protein of the Liberian Senate, Senator John B. Kanga Lawrence, who is ahead of the legislature, the 55th. So the fulfillment of Article 58 of the 1986 Constitution of Liberia, His Excellency President Joseph Yuma Boakai Sr. will deliver his annual message to the people of Liberia by and through their deputies on the 4th working Monday, which will be this Monday, the 26th of January 2026. It's going to be a joint session which encompasses both the Senate and the House. It's going to be presided over by the Speaker, Richard Nangbekoon. Before we have had constitutionally, the SONA have been held in the William Arotop John Chamber. I'm sure you are aware that it was gutted by fire some time ago. And so because of that, we're going to have the SONA in the courtyard of the Capitol building, right in front of the rotunda. It's going to be in the open air. So preparations are on the way. I can say to you that the GSA, the MCC, the rest of the folks are working. That place is going to be beautifully designed to have the President deliver his 10th annual message to the people of Liberia. For the aspect that has to do with the media, you are going to be given accreditation. We're working very hard along with the Executive Protection Service, the EPS. They are facing the accreditation. There will be a lot of security features. We're not giving it out now. It will be given out on a Sunday evening. We're going to duly inform the media when and where to pick up your access passes. The national security is on top, and they're going to handle all of the issues relative to security. And we urge you, members of the media, to cooperate with the security. If you have your access pass, make it visible. You have it on your neck, not to put it in your pocket or in your back. If you did that and the security asks you out, just so you know that you have to be there to cooperate with the security. But I know you bring up people to the road, and I want to thank you for the great work you continue to do for our country. You're going to be in straight adherence with the security. That place is going to be an open air area, and as such, you can endanger the lives of the first citizens of the country. So we will ask for all of our people who journey up there to cooperate with the security apparatus. There will be no entry by anyone who will not have official invitation or access pass. Let me show you here. This is an official invitation here. If you don't have it, you're not invited to the program. So including members of the 55th legislature, this program is squarely legislative, but they too have official invitation. They're going to come along with their spouses. So you members of the media, you're going to be given your access passes. If you don't have it, don't make your way. We will encourage everybody, people in the diaspora will have the opportunity to listen and watch the leaders speak. We have several platforms that are going to be streaming the President's annual message. You don't have to be there physically. The national broadcaster ERBC, it covers the entire country. They're going to be there, and of course breaking live the President's annual message. In fact, we're being told that the language announcers all will be there. So your crew person, don't worry, they can put it in crew. If you're Bassa like me, you're good. They put it in Bassa for you. The greater people to do the same. So this is basically to have the entire country informed about the workings. So the president is going to do that on Monday. We are just telling you about the preparedness of the legislature to receive the president. There are going to be stopping points for even members of the 55th legislature to disembark their vehicle. And they're going to be escorted by protocol officers. They're going to be using the red carpet. And the designated protocol officer are going to show them exactly where to go. Because mind you, it's a joint section. So both members of the House and that of the Senate, they were assembled. There will be no bypassing of the protocol. When it is noticed you did that, you will be escorted out of the vicinity of the Capitol building. No disrespect to you anyway, but you will be asked out. We want to assure the public that the President's annual message, like I said before, will be live on several media outlets, several platforms to have you listen, to have you watch, and to see the leaders speak to the country. So you don't have to worry yourself. If you got no business in town, sit and listen to the radio and let's hear our leaders speak. Only approved accredited media institutions will be given access. Like for instance, if you work for a newspaper, we'll be having the Executive Management Press School, MICA people, not MICA anymore, I show you MOI. Yes, we already took the tourists and asked them from them. Yes, so we will feed you with pictures. We'll feed you with pictures. Don't worry, we're not going to look on the pictures. We're not personalizing pictures. It'll be raw pictures. We'll feed you with it for your news outlets, especially for newspapers. So immediately after the president has spoken, the presidential press secretary is very proactive, so we'll have the president a speech. It will be given to all of you. You put it in your newspaper, and you can say, oh, I didn't listen to that. So you have the literature of the president's message. Again, our own staff at the legislature, we have told them that it is not in our actual working day, and as such, to avoid overcrowdedness, we have spoken to our legislative staff to stay home, listen to the radio. The president speaks very well, so you listen to the radio, you get him, you know. And so we have asked them that let it one day pass, you listen to the radio, and after that we'll continue our actual legislative work on Tuesday. The legislature remains very and fully prepared to receive His Excellency President Joseph Boakai Sr. on Monday, the 26th of January, for the sole purpose of delivering annual message, which will be the 3rd. And so this process will start beginning at 2:30. The ushering of guests, it starts beginning 2:30. It ends at 3:50 prompt. 1 second will not be added. Absolutely no one will be permitted after say hour given. All guests will enter the Capitol building through the entrance of the House wing, while only members of the 55th legislature will enter through the front entrance of the Capitol building. At 2:50, the Chief of Protocol of the Republic of Liberia will announce the arrival of members of the Consular Corps. That will go up to 2:55. At 2:55, she will again announce the arrival of heads of international organizations. And at 3 o'clock prompt, she will announce the arrival of their excellencies and doyen and members of the diplomatic corps. At 3:05 p.m., the Chief of Protocol will announce the arrival of the dean and members of the cabinet. I think Minister Piah is coming. You know, will be announcing them. Then, of course, at 3:10, the Chief of Protocol will announce the arrival of former heads of state and former vice president. All those present will rise. And that will go up to 3:15 when the Chief of Protocol will announce the arrival of His Honor, the Chief Justice and Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia. All there will rise. That will go up to 3:20. It will be the time for members of the House, led by the Speaker, and then members of the Liberian Senate will announce their arrival. And at 3:25, the Chief Justice will announce the arrival of the Vice President of the Republic of Liberia.
Chief of Protocol, you meant?
Sorry, I mean the Chief of Protocol, sorry. They will announce the arrival of the Vice President, who is the President of the Liberian Senate, and members of the Liberian Senate. The Vice President of the Republic will take a seat at the left of the Speaker, and members of the Senate will take seats reserved for them. Both House and Senate, those seats reserved for them, mind you, is a joint section. At 3:45 p.m., the Sergeant at Arms of the Honorable House of Representatives, Maury Gibson, will open the 3rd joint section of the 55th legislature. That takes up to 3:50. The joint executive committees of both House and Senate will meet the President of the Republic of Liberia at the main entrance of the grounds of the Capitol to escort him, along with the Sergeant at Arms of both houses, to the podium. Upon arrival, the Sergeant at Arms of the House of Representatives, Maury Gibson, will announce the arrival of the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency Joseph Boakai Sr. And all of you that will be present will rise. At 4 p.m. prompt, the President will mount the podium to deliver his annual message to the 3rd joint section of the 55th legislature. That message marks the 3rd message, third annual message to the people of Liberia by and through their deputies. After the annual message delivered by the president, you will be escorted to a place reserved. Like I said, it's right in front of the rotunda of the Capitol. The Joint Executive Committee will receive the guests of the president and later escort heads of state who will be visiting with us for a reception hosted in honor of the president. I want to thank you. If you have some questions, we want to sit here and answer some of them. But that's how it's going to be looking like on Monday, the 26th of January. So I'll show you the invitation, official one. If you don't have it, and you don't have access pass, members of the media, say that listen to the radio. The story. We serve the speech of the president to you, the literature. Thank you.
So we just listened to Ambassador Robert Haynes. He's the Director for Press at the House of Representatives.
You gave us your more divided attention. You listened to the two speakers, Mr. Piah, the NHA boss, and the spokesperson of the House of Representatives of the Liberian Legislature. Will now provide you the opportunity to put your questions, and we want your question to be as succinct and directed to the various speakers here. We'll take one question to the journalists because we are running against time. The first question.
All right, I'm Lawrence Geebae from the News Africa. When it comes to public gathering, especially capital meeting, it has a history of displacing our president. And
now you have a conversation in the hall. Please stop that. It's not good. You are journalists.
now you have the sonar that will be held outside. What new dimension or what new thing you put in place to ensure that the first president, not president, but the first citizen is safe? Thank you.
My name is Mopolu and I report for Inside Liberia. So I want to have a question for Minister Piah. Minister Piah, you mentioned about the will be evacuation process, which will be done by the AFL. For the public, many of the argument has been like those people who are in these places, actually they are refugee, and then after the war they have not had money to relocate. Government after government. Now this government is about to possess its property. Is the government thinking to compensate these people, especially those who have been there for a longer period of time? Thank you.
So my name is James M. Bala and I report for Radio George Africa in Geebae County. My questions go to Honorable Florence Geebae. Madam, thank you so much for the good things you have told us in regard to housing in this country. And part of the things you say here do not have the time frame in regard to as to this year we'll do this one, the other year we'll do so. However, that's not the question. Now that the AFL is retreating her properties in Geebae across the country, and you've been around since 1960, does the National Housing Authority has any property within the environs of Liberia or Montserrado that people have occupied since the war and they want to have a retreat like the AFL is doing?
Thank you. My name is Alison Smo and I report for Today Liberia Television. My question goes to Honorable Florence Geebae. Madam Managing Director, thank you so kindly for your presentation. But the Liberian people are concerned when it comes to the mandate of the National Housing Authority, that's the code mandate, and how does it align with the government's broader development agenda? Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon to to our platform guests. My name is Desmond Nguyen and I report for Democracy Watch newspaper. My concern goes to the Managing Director of the National Housing Authority, Honorable Florence Geebae. As part of your institutional responsibility in terms of supervising, regulating all houses built by taxpayer money, especially public houses built by taxpayer money, I'm concerned about those houses that were built, those hundreds of homes that were built by the former CDC-led administration that used taxpayer money, like the homes in the various counties. Have you been taking into consideration the regulation of those homes? And to speak so about the one adjacent the barrack on the way to the airport, what is the current status of that project? And how many occupants are in those homes? As we are gathering reports, some of those structures are becoming to dilapidate in terms of makeshift.
Good afternoon. My name is Jackson Ali Sefa and I report for SMTV. My question goes to. Yeah. Again, my name is Jackson Ali Sefa and I report for SMTV. My question goes to Minister Piah. Over the period of time, we saw citizens going to rob a business president who was like a fire coach on his warehouse in Red Light Premier mattress. So people were doing away with freezers, fans. They were taking everything away from while the person is in grief. What are we going to say about this when it comes to the protection of investors and their properties?
All right, thanks so kindly. I'm Otis Nax Jr. and I report for Saba TV Live. I have two questions, one for the Director of Press. All right, to the National Housing Authority. How many housing units has the NHA constructed or facilitated, and how attractive is Liberia housing sector to foreign and local investors? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Nadwisa, I report for Star TV. My question goes to the housing unit director. You talk about 600 housing units. I want to know, are those from the slum community? How many areas from the slum community will be benefiting from the housing unit? Slum community, yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Aruna Ekwepogi and I report for Blaze FM. My question is directed to Madam Florence Geebae. How can citizens provide feedback to participate in shaping future housing policy? In shaping future housing policies?
Okay, so good afternoon again, everyone. My name is Sampat Bakiman, reporting for Women Voices newspaper. So I want to know, Madam Geebae, you talk about the 6,000 housing units, which is to be constructed in 600, okay, sorry, in 5 counties. So you did not name them. What are those counties? And also, you talk about...
One question, please.
So that's 8 for questions by journalists, unless it's response by the guest. So once again, if you're just joining, I would like to say welcome to this live broadcast. I'm coming to you live at the Ministry of Information.
The president is the first citizen of the country. The president is not embarrassed. The president has not been embarrassed and will not be embarrassed. Under the leadership of Speaker Regina Bukum, I said this to you. Be my lips. The legislature is prepared. As a matter of fact, let me say this. The president has spoken twice in the courtyard of the Capitol building upside down. When the president was taking the mark of authority as president of the republic, there where he spoke. If you don't know, During the second annual message, then we have had the fire outbreak. So the president spoke. The second annual message, it was in the courtyard. He was not embarrassed, he would not be embarrassed. So I tell you that the legislature is prepared to receive the president. A lot of things been put in place. I tell you, you'll be passing the place very beautiful. So don't worry about anything will happen. And that's what we're happy to you too. Place is safe, buddy. Thank you.
Okay, you needed to know the time frame of the construction of the construction of the 600 housing units. Our time frame for the strategic plan is between 2025 and 2029. So between 2025 and 2029, we will be constructing the 600 housing units, which will be financed by our budgetary allocations. And then we have other partners, close to 3, that are prepared to do additional construction. So we have a strategic plan for 2025 to 2029. So that's the time frame. We also wanted to know the alignment of our project with the arrest agenda. I have something I need to look for it. We look at the social factor, the socio-economic factor. Okay, the linkages to the AAI, the agriculture will provide housing for agricultural workers and will also be contributing to the decentralization services nationwide. Rule of law will be homes for the judicial, the military, the paramilitary personnel, and that will also help with the decentralization program. The road, there will be workers along the road, those that will be working on the roads, both skilled and no-skilled workers, they will have homes in the various counties. Education will have access to housing to increase teachers' lodging. Sanitation, access to adequate housing for those that are working in the sanitation sector, the health sector, the tourism sector. So our homes that we'll be building will be feeding or supplying lodging for the various workers in the sectors that are part of the arrest agenda. So that is for the person that asked that question. You also wanted to know property to reclaim land. AFL is reclaiming land. Whether we are reclaiming our lands. We were able to get the Zese community, the Omega, the shuffling, which was a challenge, and by the grace of God, when I intervened in the shuffling situation, it was so smooth. My folks were surprised because they used to chase my predecessor from shuffling. But I went there smoothly. They say, MD, now your property can't take it. Can't clear your place, you know. So it is favored right now. The only place we have it, not really a challenge, a plain delay tactics. So I'm looking for money to get yellow machine and start clearing. That's Tower Hill. We need to reclaim Tower Hill. They have sold the place, they now sell to the tire selling. So they are afraid if we go there to reclaim, the people they have sold to will be getting to them. So they play delay tactics, but I have a strategy for them. We're going to get Tower Hill by all means. So reclaiming our lands to our small places that remain, we're going to make sure that we develop those areas. Regulation of homes built by past government, we've started that, we visited, in fact, Boinjama, those that will be doing the Malikoma Road are trying to make an agreement with us so that they can use those homes, the workers. I was in Nimba County yesterday. I visited Sanikwele. We have 10 structures there. We're trying to reclaim, but most of the properties that were secured for infrastructure construction were not properly handled. For Sanikwele, we don't even have the deed. So we're going to renegotiate, and that's a good place, and we're supposed to be building in Nimba County. So I'm trying to negotiate with the owner Because we didn't have the deed, and they finished paying the mayor halfway for the money that they took the land for. The mayor has cleaned the place. The houses are so beautiful. And he landlord. Government property, the guy is a landlord on government property. So we're trying to go to Grand Crew. I'm sending a team to Grand Crew and Grand G there. We got properties there. We got land. How many homes constructed? We have close to 1,008 plus homes that have been constructed. The Ghanarsville, the New Georgia, the Bannersville, the NASCA Village, the VOA that was constructed for West Point people that will be resettled there, and Doe Estate, which was partly constructed with reclaiming the land, and the Bentown housing unit. The Dwazon isn't government money. Dwazon is a private company. And the same issue I spoke about, the land situation was not properly handled. That's how Dwazon, opposite the barracks, has the issue that it has. I reported that issue to the Ministry of Justice. Investigation is going on because Liberians paid their money and they're supposed to get their homes, entitlement to the homes that they have paid for. So the Ministry of Justice is investigating that. All of the stakeholders, the National Housing Authority, the AFL, the Land Authority, and the Ministry of Justice, and the Millennium Guy, Mohammed, we've all been having meetings. We are at the concluding stage right now. Okay, how attractive is what? The housing, I don't know what he said, something he said, like attractive. The policy? Very, very attractive. We have a very, very attractive investment environment. But you know, we got an attractive investment environment, but the requisite variables. Hello, you ask question in Latvia. The requisite variable, and that key variable is the land. We need to have the land, we need to prepare the land for the investor to come. But in our country, the investor can register, some of my investors, I can register them into the business registry in 1 day or 1.5 days or maybe a few hours. So no investor should come say, except they go to something and other want eat more money from them and they be turning it around for 2-3 months. But within 24 hours, you can register your business. If the equipment are down, I've done that for some of my investors. And there are incentives available. The key variable, which is land, is where we have problem with land authority. Okay? So our environment is very good. How many houses do we plan to build in the slum? It depends on the land, what we're doing to the slum. There's something we call slum upgrading in our mandate. So we want to upgrade the slum. When upgrading the slum, the rotting houses are in the slum that the water not damaged. We upgrade those houses. We put good drainage system. We put water and sanitation system into the slum. But for the 600 homes, we're going into the rural areas and we want good land. But we also have a program which is part of our proposal, the AAID for slum upgrading. So you wanted to know how many homes? If I go to that page, I may find the number of homes that we projected for the slum upgrading. So the next question we have to make fast before the EFBC close their door off. Citizen feedback in housing policy. I said you apply now to the National Housing Authority, but in the policy design, we're going to have stakeholders meetings and we will do complete, comprehensive social mobilization, and we're going to require citizens' feedback before that bill goes into the legislature. If that is what you are asking about the citizen feedback in the housing policy. Then 600 units, the counties, we got Nimba, we got Lofa, we got Bong, we got Grand Bassa, we got Bomi, and Montserrado counties. Those are the 6 counties for our pilot project. Thank you very much. If no other question, I want to look at the slump upgrading. Okay, for the slump upgrading, what have we projected? We have projected 250 homes for the slump upgrading program. Between 2025 and 2029, we should be upgrading 250 homes.
All right, so before I answer the 2 questions, I really want to appeal to all of you journalists here, and including some of our officials. When the press conference is being addressed, and people just walking up and down, slamming the door, it's so bad. I don't know what for, whether you're rushing the bathroom. At my age, the press conference more than 2 hours. I said, I can't go in the bathroom, you don't go around with your bladder there. It's so disruptive. I mean, imagine you got a guest presenting something and you're just jumping up and down, slapping the door. It's not okay. It's not okay. Absolutely, it's not okay. And that is not only applying to you because some of my officials saying, oh, you're doing too. Everybody just moving up and down. It's not okay. But Polo, if you got your horse and Joseph Salib and somebody else, they get the food they're saying your property is not for them. When you want your horse, you pay them for the move from there. The horse is not for you. Why go there? Then when you want to move from there, they pay you for what? For illegally occupying your house? Maybe you will be the first man who will do that one, then you are a very good Samaritan. Now tell all my family when you get out, you go lay in that man or wherever you pay. So the person who made the observation about what happened in the rail era, you're right. Those of us who are ordinary citizens, we hold public officials by very high standard. We curse them, we call them rogues, we call them criminals. Let's see ourselves. Somebody is in distress, and you go there looting. There's a picture. I think somebody, one of your colleagues in this press room, posted and say, what will she tell her children? A woman. She's lifting up an export, a small freezer. That one's supposed to get children to her house. You're supposed to tell the children you're not going to steal. But she's looting. And one morning they were accused, one government official of doing something that should be one of the first person to call on the talk show and be yelling. So roll. They just steal the country money. But here you are, a fellow citizen is in distress. You didn't go there to help. All old men and women carrying mattresses, carrying people freezer. What is that? So the country's problem is not the way you define it. Because many of us define Liberia's problem to be with officials of government. Where do you come from to be official of government? You come from the community. You come from the mosque. You come from the church. If I don't already do people what you point government, what do you do? You steal the whole country.
So that's it for today's press briefing here at the Ministry of Information. Also, the MOI press briefing was addressed by Honorable Jola Mekimati Piah, Minister of Information, Honorable Florence Geebae, Managing Director of National Housing Authority, and Mr. Robert Benjamin Haynes, Director of Press at the House of Representatives. The Honorable Piah addresses key national issues and provided updates on ongoing government initiatives and achievements, while Honorable Geebae spoke on the mandate and responsibility of the National Housing Authority, highlighting its current status and future prospects, while Director Haynes spoke on the legislature preparedness to receive the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency President Joseph Mboaka Senior, for the sole purpose of delivering his annual message scheduled for Monday, January 26, 2026. So once again, for those who have been following, I'd like to say thanks for following this live broadcast. Do join us next Tuesday for another edition of MOI Press Briefing. Until then, my name is Masiame Kone Abende with my colleague Damoa Fofana. Thanks for watching.